Hello, just in case, my name is Mariana Diaz, and I will be talking today about the second flute concert by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart in D major, that's K314. Yeah, this is a very traditional concert, a very traditional classical concert, a very traditional Mozart concert for a solo instrument and orchestra accompaniment. We have three movements, and we're going to be talking today about the first one, concert, fast movement, slow movement, fast movement. We end with a rondo, second movement, andante ma non troppo, and we have an allegro aperto, first movement. Yes, we have this first movement is a very traditional sonata for movement. We have exposition, development, and recapitulation. At the end, we have a cadence for the soloist. And yes, I will be leaving my playing, the video of my playing. At the end of this video, I decided to put here a shorter version of my performance, which I play only with the piano, not with the orchestra, and where the beginning, at the end, it's shorter, just to be faster. Yes, I think we all know about Mozart, but here Wikipedia. He was born in Salzburg in 1756 in January, and he died in December in Wien in 1791. He was one of the biggest composers ever, the biggest classical composer ever, and I think we all know him. He's very famous. He was Wunderkind. But in German, Wunderkind, he started playing very early, and he was a prodigious. His dad kind of toured him already at the age of 7. He started composing, and he composed a lot of opera music and singer music, and I believe until now that all of his music is very much inspired in the human voice and in the singing ways somehow, and that everything you can understand with singing, everything of his music. So yeah, that's it about Mozart. And about this concert, I wanted to recall this paper, a study of performance practices pertaining to Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's Flute Concert in D major, K314, by Tania Nicole Russi from the University of Northern Colorado. The thing about this concert that I like so much, and I think it's so interesting and so funny, it's that it was originally written for oboe, and that's the version I believe. Of course, there's still people saying no, it was first written for the flute and then transposed for the oboe, or they were written at the same time, blah blah blah. I believe the version it was written for the oboe first and then transposed for the flute. There is the same concert, basically like 90% the same concert, and C major for the oboe, and then it's just transposed for the flute. The thing is, there is like, I don't know, I have heard in my life more than 10 different versions of this story, and one of them funnier, more fun than others, but I will try to resume it. And we really don't know because of there are so different versions, but anyway, we think this concert was composed in early 1778 while Mozart was in Mannheim, and there was this flutist. Like I said, there are different names for this flutist that introduced Mozart to this wealthy Dutchman, and this wealthy Dutchman was flutist as well, but kind of as an amateur flutist. And because he had money, he asked Mozart to write 3 concerts for the flute and a set of quartets for flute and strings. And we all know, I think, or we all flutists, we know Mozart didn't like the flute, and he talks about that in different letters with different people, with his father, between others, and but believe me, I understand him. We will talk later about the fact that we really have to try to understand that the instrument, this concert and this music at the time this music was written for was the Baroque flute, the flute with 1 key. I will show it. And that's a completely different instrument than the modern flute we play today, out of metal and with a lot of keys. So it's a horrible instrument. No, it's not a horrible instrument, but it's not an instrument easy to intonate to other instrument. It's an instrument that it's in D, not in C, and it has only one key, and it's horrendous. It's horrendously difficult to intonate. It's kind of impossible, and that's kind of the thing about that instrument. So yeah, and there's a lot of technical stuff. I think I will short for now. Something happened in between. He didn't want to write a second concert for the flute. This thing. So what I got told was, when I was younger, was that this Dutchman, that Mozart gave the Dutchman the concert back, and the Dutchman tried to play it, and he was very disappointed because of he couldn't play it, and he came back to Mozart and said, Mozart, thank you for your concert, very cute, but it's too difficult. Can you please write me an easier one? And then Mozart got mad and just transposed the other concert and thought maybe he's not gonna know. Nobody's gonna know, you know? And then, yeah, he just transposed the concert and was expecting the money. Of course, the Dutchman found out. And yeah, again, what I heard as a child was the Dutchman came back with the second concert. That was even more difficult than the first one, and indeed it is. In technical stuff, it is more difficult than the first one, a bit. And yeah, and he was mad, and he found out that Mozart just transposed the concert and didn't pay him, or only paid him a part. Yeah, anyways. And later, there are letters between Mozart and his father where he's mad with Mozart and telling him, like, how dare you do this with under my name. Like, yes, the first concert in G major was composed as an original concert, and D major was adapted from his own composition, his oboe concert, but we all kind of accept it still as an kind of original whole composition, not only a transposition, because of it was a very intelligent transposed, and there are also many differences between the flute and the oboe version, mostly in the fast and difficult, brilliant passages. He just totally changes, so it makes more sense to play it with the flute than with the oboe. So my own relationship with the concert, it's it's probably one of the most played pieces by flutists. We all played a lot. I think we played more at the first concert, and that's probably the reason I played the second. Also because I love this story, and I think it's so funny, and so yeah. And for me, this is the concert I play in orchestra auditions, and I do a lot of orchestra auditions, so I play this a lot, and I've been playing this a lot for the last 2 years. So yes, I also like it very much, and I think it's even though it's a classical concert and we use all the time the same motifs, the same material, and the same perfect cadences, I think it's still so alive, and I think it's so funny to play, and I love to kind of discover it every time I play it. So I mean, it's a classical concert, and I think we all know about playing classical music. The fact is that it's so see-through, and yeah, you just know if you play a wrong note. You're not allowed to play wrong notes, but also you are not allowed to play dirty articulations or dirty anything, because of everyone's gonna know. So yeah, so we have to play it in every audition, and this is the concert I play for my auditions. So that's also the reason why I have like 20 different recordings of this, and yeah, I decided to do it because I think it's also very interesting to talk about this, because I have spent so many hours working on this already. So yes, now I wanted to show you a bit of a very general technical analysis of the concert. It's, like I said, a very easy traditional concert with a first movement with an exposition, development and recapitulation, and everything goes by the book. It's Mozart at the end of the day. So we begin here with an exposition. We begin the orchestral exposition, and the first theme is in D major. Of course, the concert is in D major. So yes, and 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 that's our first theme, and then we kind of modulate a bit, and then we are already going from D major to A major here to the second theme that is again in D major. And that's our second theme, and that comes a lot. Yes, and then it keeps going. Everything is mainly in D major. Of course, we have tiny changes, but it's mainly D major, major, everything D, A, D, A, D, D, D. So, yeah. But we have a lot of, there's always 3-2 sextile going, chaka 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 pam 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 pam. Of course, the basses are always playing, kind of the same. And then here in bar 26, we start having some cadence material. We start, in D major, pam 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 pam, and then we prepare to start with the exposition from the soloist here later on bar 33. Here, for example, a tiny example about when we talk about the differences between the Baroque flute and the modern flute, the modern instrument we play nowadays, is for the different form and the different way it's built. The Baroque flute kind of adds lower pitches when it goes higher, and the modern flute takes them away, which makes the higher sounds very brilliant, and it makes them kind of project a lot while the Baroque flute doesn't. It does the completely opposite. So that's the reason why we, for example, why this is written like to the top, and our tradition is to play either diminuendo or and to really make it very thin, also because of the orchestra has the first theme. Yes. So, and it goes D major, we are D major, D major. Like I said, very, for example, first big difference between the flute and the oboe version, these bars, the oboe stays in the same octave, in the same register, the flute comes back and forth an octave. Then we have, this is a new motif, a motif that came, yes, and it always goes 2 bars, first from the orchestra, then from the solist. And this is a modulating bridge this time, from D major to A major, until we come to bar 65 here, to the solo theme. Everything is in A major. Here, for example, we could talk a bit of how Mozart is in this concert every time, but in this concert it's all the time making these sequences of 3 or 4 bars where he does, and we interpret that and articulate that and everything, and make that, exaggerate these sequences where he's like presenting something, and then a bit higher, and then a bit higher, and then coming back. For example, this one again, and then we do again, because the orchestra has more to do. And yes, also there's a lot, there's a lot of discussion about how to interpret this concert, how to play the articulation, how to play the thrills, how to play everything. So there's a lot of information about that. Maybe we talk about that a bit later. So here we have the second theme by the flute for the first time in A major, and then we are mostly in A major. We all have our G, our Gis, and until here where we begin, we go back to our cadence material, and we are now in A major, back to A major, and then we build our final cadence, and then we go with the full orchestra in A major, and that's kind of the end of the exposition for the soloist. And then here in bar 103, 4, 5, 6, we have the development officially, and then of course we start back with this motif and this cadential material fragment, tan, 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 always first from the orchestra, then from the flute. But here we are, we change, and this is probably the most interesting part of this concert when we think from this movement, when we think about harmonies, because we're first in A major, A major from the orchestra, from the flute, but then we have A7 chords, and then we have D major back, and then we have diminished 7 chords towards E major. So it's very interesting. And we have the retransition where we go to A major dominant, of course, we know, and it's very interesting. And maybe we can hear that later, or you can hear that yourselves, because I think I've been talking too long. So yes, so that's basically it. And then the recapitulation, the C material, we are back to D major by the book. And yes, we have a modulation bridge, and yes, we go from E minor back to D major, which I also think E minor is kind of interesting. I mean, it's a change between D major and E major all the time, 1-5 all the time. And yes, then we have this motif again, it's this solo theme in D major this time. It's a very long time in D major, D major, D major. And then we have a deceptive cadence, that's very nice. And yes, where we have this B minor chord and then A major, and then we go back to the second theme, but this time in D major. And and that's kind of it. We have again the same material from the exposition, this cadence material, now in D major, of course, because we are coming towards the end. And you present it 1, 2, 3 bars, and then we develop, or we kind of adorn it. And and then we have full orchestra back to D major. Then there is a cadence where the flutist plays a solo part, a little longer solo part, because the first movement is not so short. And then we have the final cadence material, and we are all the time in D major, very D major, very clear D major. So here you can see the orchestration again, oboe 1, 2, horn, the solo flutist, and very normal strings. So that's it. I wanted to go a bit deeper and to answer one of these questions. What is surprising, interesting? I think I already said a bit about these parts where I love this in the development, the beginning of the development. It's actually very interesting, and I try to show it a lot in my performance. And as expected, G, we have these A7 chords, but still kind of, and then this B, chromatic, but that's one of many things. And yes, for where are the high points? I mean, we have a lot of high points. Like I was telling before, he's all the time building these groups of 3 or 4 chords. When we come to a kind of a high point, and we go back very fast to the next group. So I can show you one example of one I like a lot. I would now change to my, this is the score I use until, now it's only a couple of things are written there. For example, I love this piece, and this comes, and this motif, and this comes a lot. This is a thing too. And this is the second one. And then we go to the cadence thingies. So yes, it's very alive, and it's din din dong dong din dong din den dong. So in one bar you are just changing all the time the character, because you have this kind of lyric free part, din da din da ta 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 ta, maybe less. I kind of do less apparently. And you can go diminuendo, which is the way the Baroque flute will sound, or you can go din ta 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 din. It feels for me like a mimic, like somebody who's looking there and looking there and looking there. So yes, this I like a lot. And yes, of course, it's surprising and intensive. And what is challenging, I think, the amount of opinions and of investigation and of analysis there is in the internet, but also in the lessons. The amount of discussion, you cannot believe how many times I have, because for me, I do the trills always from the top, for example here, but also at the beginning, and basically every time also tam pam 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 pam. That's kind of challenging technically, but like I said before, I think the challenging part is that it's just so see-through, and I always play from the top note, so it's ta and here it's kind of difficult in the smileys, kind of pretty difficult to be on time, but for me it gives it some level of rules that at this time you still should play all of the trills from the top note. But yes, there is, every time I play it, always somebody who says, why don't you play it from the middle, or yes, or whatever. So there's a lot of discussion about the trills, about the articulations too. I do some different articulations, for example at the beginning I don't do this articulation, and so many times also here I chop this here, and I think it has more flow, and I just feel like it's probably from Mozart or an Urtex edition, but I still really decide at the end, because there are so many opinions, and that's also like, it's not so ambiguous how to play it and what is allowed and what is not, because if there are a lot of books and a lot of information, and everyone kind of knows a lot about this, or has spent a lot of time thinking and playing this, but for the same reason everyone has a very strict idea of how this should sound and how this should be played, and so it's kind of difficult to have your own version. But you can discuss a lot about this concert, and I find it a bit tiring at times, but yes. So I think I have talked a lot, and I think I will not go back to talk more about the difference between the instruments, but I just wanted to say that it's very important for me, at least, to play an informed version, but to still have the freedom, I think, to know this information and to investigate about how is this supposed to be played, how is this supposed to sound, also to know all of the chords and what and the tensions and what that means, and what a chromatic scale means in this time and in this classical time and for Mozart, and to understand about Mozart and the singing of the music and whatever, and to understand that it's a different instrument that works completely the opposite kind of as the instrument I'm playing. Yeah, but somehow I believe this bunch of information gives me freedom, and at the end of the day I just decide how I want to play it, and yeah, how I want to play it and how I want to perform it. And some of the things I do are not necessary, yeah, accepted but by everyone, but somehow it works because if I stay behind my version, behind my performance. So yes, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that was enough. Yeah, have a nice day, evening, morning. Yes, bye bye.